The Chicago Bulls are one of the most popular teams in the NBA. They captivate fans around the world and make it consistently to the postseason. They had a few stars such as Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman, and Derrick Rose, but the main rise to fame for the Bulls is when they drafted a 6'6" shooting guard from North Carolina. His name is Michael Jordan. It all started in the 1984 draft. The Chicago Bulls drafted Michael Jordan with the 3rd overall pick. He was an instant sensation.
Cut it to one if they score. Jordan down the middle all the way. Jordan with the steal.
Our first day of practice, one of our assistants called me after the practice and said, "I don't think you screwed the draft up this year."
It's an effort by Jordan, who has it on the break, driving all the way in. Oh, got it.
Michael was phenomenal. He helped the Bulls make it to the playoffs in only his 2nd season. However, they got swept by the Bucks, but it was still an amazing start. The Bulls then proceeded to make the playoffs each year and would always improve on how they did in the postseason. In 1988, they finally made it to the conference finals, but they would have to deal with their biggest hurdle yet, Isaiah Thomas and the Bad Boys.
People forget how hard it was for that guy to deal with the Detroit Pistons. You know, they were the one person that's saying, "You're not so hot. You know, we can stop you." And they did.
Well, the Pistons have moved on, but you really got to feel for this man right here.
For 3 straight years, they would meet the Pistons in the playoffs, and for 3 straight years, they would suffer a bitter defeat.
Chicago Bulls continue to frustrate themselves and their fans.
I felt it was very disappointing each and every time that we ended up getting to this hurdle and couldn't get over it.
The Pistons return to the NBA Finals for the 3rd straight time.
As the 1991 season began, the Bulls knew a change was needed if they wanted to get past the Pistons. The Bulls started sharing the ball more and getting everyone involved, instead of just having their main scoring option as
Here
one.
Jordan down court. The Stacey King slammed up. Michael Jordan doing it all.
Greer falls down, and Cartwright steals the ball. Ahead to Jordan. Michael blowing in, beats Pippen for the jam.
With this new tactic, the Bulls made this season their best so far. The Bulls made it back to the conference finals, where they found their rivals, the Pistons, waiting for them. But this time, it was going to be different.
Edwards lost it. Oh, Jordan stripped the dribble. Action open.
Yes.
The Bulls on fire.
Jordan with Dumars. Takes him into the lane. Hands it off to Horace Grant. Inside, he lays it in. Yes, sir! McGuire baseline right. Doubled up. Had it chopped away. Cartwright ahead to Jordan. Michael in the drive. In on Vinnie Johnson. All the way to the hoop and lays it in. Oh, there's panic all over the Pistons' faces.
Once the Bulls overcame their Piston nightmare, there was no stopping them. They faced the Lakers in the finals and showed who had the stronger team.
Pass in Jordan, the steal, tight ropes the sideline, all the way to the hoop for the dunk. A spectacular play by Jordan.
The Bulls have exploded.
Showtime as he skies into the air, and Jordan throws it down.
To Livingston. Jordan. Oh, a spectacular move by Michael Jordan.
Start to say the words, folks. The world champion Chicago Bulls.
And the Chicago Bulls have won their first ever NBA championship.
Once the Bulls had a taste of the top, there was no stopping them. They dominated the 1992 regular season and earned themselves the best record in the NBA. The Bulls had no trouble in the first 3 rounds of the playoffs, but Michael was saving the best for last. He would match up against Clyde Drexler in the NBA Finals.
Jordan eluding Robinson. Yes.
Oh, he is on fire.
He is hot. Woo! Blazers get back. Pippen back for Jordan again for 3.
He's in a frenzy here. Got a Jordan fire, another three. Oh, no! I don't believe it. 3-pointers from Jordan. What in the world is going on?
Here's Jordan for 3. Yes. Did you see that look? Michael indicating he can't believe it.
This is the greatest performance in the history of this league.
With this victory, the Bulls have now won 2 straight championships. The Bulls were the most dominant team at the time, and they proved it again in 1993. They established themselves as one of the strongest teams, if not the strongest team, that season, and soon were headed to the NBA Finals once again. This time, Jordan would have a very entertaining co-star.
God want us to win the World Championship.
I don't know if I go that much off.
I talked to him the other night.
However, even divine intervention could not stop the Bulls.
He'll take it all the way to the basket and drops it in.
The Bulls have now won their third championship in the past 3 years.
Jordan and the Chicago Bulls have climbed the Mount Olympus of the NBA.
Last night, we began the show with the disappearance of Michael Jordan's father. Tonight, the worst fears have come true. James Jordan was found dead, the victim of an apparent murder.
The Bulls were on top of the NBA, but it wasn't going to be like that forever. During the offseason, Michael Jordan discovered that his father had been murdered, and he immediately retired and started playing baseball. This was a difficult loss for the Bulls. They needed Michael back. In fact,
economy has produced 6.1 million jobs since I became president. And if Michael Jordan goes back to the Bulls, it'll be 6,100,001 new jobs.
Michael Jordan announced today he's coming back to basketball.
One guy said the words, "I'm back," and it set the world on fire. Just turned it upside down.
Michael came back to the Bulls after an 18-month absence. They clinched the playoff spot and were matched up against the young Orlando.
90 to score. Chicago with the lead with 18 and 1/10 seconds to play. All right, here we go. Now Jordan played by Anderson. And Jordan spinning his way against Anderson.
The Bulls lose to the Magic and are eliminated from the playoffs. However, that didn't stop Michael. He thought of it as a challenge and pushed himself even harder to help the Bulls gain their throne back.
Clear out from Longley and picks up with authority. Wham! In your face. MJ between them all. He got every one of them. Yes! Jordan picked it off behind the back. Oh, yes, sir!
History with a record for regular season
This
victories.
season, the Bulls would set a record for most wins in a season.
It's become a reality for the Chicago Bulls.
The Bulls had an amazing 72 wins and have proven themselves as one of the best teams ever. The Bulls would end up facing the Magic again in the playoffs, but this time, Michael would have his revenge.
He's got Scotty with him. Hip right back to Michael for the jam.
The Bulls end up winning the championship and are once again at the top of the NBA.
6 years, Jordan rules. After a 2-year absence, the Chicago Bulls have regained the NBA throne.
You know, I can't even put it in words. My father's like what it means to me. I know he's watching. This is for Daddy.
MJ, top of the circle against Russell. Michael hangs, fires, score! And then Bulls win! He knocked it in at the buzzer, Bulls win! How many times has he done that?
The Bulls continued to soar even higher. They thrashed the competition and won the next 2 championships in dominating fashion. But for Michael and the Bulls, it just seemed like something regular. After the Bulls won their 6th championship, Michael retired and the team disbanded. What was once the best team in the league is now a memory. But the memory of their legacy will forever be remembered, and the spirit of the Bulls will live on.